You're listening to the Daily Sales Tips podcast, and I'm your host, Scott Ingram. Today's tip comes from Jack Wilson and is the final tip in his Great Expectations series. Here it is.
Hey there, Sales Tips community. You've made it to tip 5 of 5. I'm proud of you. But if you're here, it's no coincidence. It's probably because I set great expectations about what you would learn if you listened and what that journey would look like. Well, either that or it's that you just listen to a bunch of these anyways. Either way, good for you. Tip 5 puts the T in great, and that represents time frame. Much like setting SMART goals, the last and most oft-forgotten aspect is establishing a hard and fast time frame. When we consider the time aspect of a sales process, we often take an acute view of what that means. We usually attribute it to one thing: when is the deal going to close? But there are several different time frames you need to focus on if you're going to set great expectations and ultimately move an opportunity across the finish line. I like to focus on 3 specifically: what now, what's next, and what's the end game. What now focuses on the time frame at hand. Whether it's the initial call, discovery, demo, or you're at the closing table, your prospect is always thinking, how long is this going to take? Make sure that at the beginning of each conversation, you're laying out the time frame for the call or tasks associated, and you're getting feedback and, better yet, buy-in. This is so simple, but often we blow right past it. You should always be saying something along the lines of, hey, Jermaine, I know we've got 30 minutes on the calendar. Is that still good? If we go long, do you have extra time, or is our stop a hard one? Once you've completed the current step, on time hopefully, it's important to let your prospect know what's next. Always, always, always set concrete, mutually agreed upon next steps. That means a date, a time, and a purpose that all parties involved are available for, agree to, and have committed to participate in. Did I say always? Because I mean it. Even if it's your just checking in call, which I wish we'd eliminate from our vocab, have a purpose, get agreement, and schedule it. There's magic in the relationship between what's now and what's next. The more you set the table accordingly, deliver as promised, and continue to do so at every step, the more your prospect grows to expect it. They will thank you for keeping them organized, and if they ever ghost you, you're in the driver's seat to hold them respectfully accountable. Firstly, is making sure that everyone knows the end game. Think about trying to run a marathon without knowing where or how far the finish line is. The mental anguish of running just to run seamlessly without an end is no different than what your prospects feel when they have no idea when the deal should be ready to move forward. Set a deadline, one that's reasonable, wink, wink, tick number 2, and constantly check in to make sure you're on pace. If you're not, press hard for unmet obligations by your prospect before kicking the deadline down the road. Otherwise, it was a pointless deadline to begin with. I hope you think this series has been great. All jokes aside, if you're having problems with longer sales cycles, getting stuck in pending hell, or opportunities falling off, do a self-audit and ask, am I being granular, reasonable, explaining, providing alternatives, and have concrete time frame? The more you do, the less of these problems you will have.
Let me tell you how much time frame matters. As I record this, I don't know how long it will be before Austin Water is able to restore service. Hopefully, this all gets resolved this weekend. For more from Jack Wilson and this full series of tips, just click over to DailySales.Tips/762. I'm also going to create a Spotify playlist with this complete series of tips that you can get to directly at DailySales.Tips/great. Once you've done that, be sure to come back tomorrow for another great sales tip. Thanks for listening.